Welcome, this is smarthelping.com. I'm Jason. We have another template upgrade here for the product as a service model. So none of the base logic has changed. All that works the same. You can define um, unit costs, sales, seasonality over 5 years, your subscription assumptions for how you're adding users that pay a monthly fee, operating expenses here all work the same. Debt schedule, capex, this is new. So now you can define different items that are going to have depreciation linked to them, as well as on the exit, if you do define a terminal value, there'll be some gain or loss and taxes will apply accordingly. Um, Cap table, this is another big add. So the cap table is going to allow you to define based on what the model solves for, which the model is going to solve for minimum equity required to keep the cash balance at 0 or greater. And that'll flow into here. You can define how many shares you want to issue, stock, what percentage are common, class A and B, and then how much funds you're raising from different entities, as well as their share of each share type, and the fully diluted ownership value will populate accordingly. There's also a section for founders, employees, operators to have the same logic. Terminal value is new, and the only thing you're going to define on here is the percentage of extraordinary income from the sale of the business. If you are going to include an exit, that's going to be applied to extraordinary income. The rest is going to go to fixed assets. Inventory. So this model originally originally didn't have logic for calculating inventory purchases on a schedule. So for example, you purchase inventory for the next 4 months, every 4 months essentially, or 7 or whatever, you could put a number in here. And that will now update and give you a proper inventory balance in your um, balance sheet, as well as reconcile on the cash flow statement. Um, and that was the big add here is you've now got a formal income statement, monthly and annual, which you can see here. It all flows based on the assumptions. A balance sheet, monthly and annual, and a cash flow statement, monthly and annual. So this is a more formal way to present the data. Distributions was already here. Executive summary was already here. Um, Visualizations works just like it did before. Same data. The monthly and annual detail gives you more of a granular look at all the assumptions, and this drives down to EBITDA and cash flow, as well as some advanced metrics. So the big add here is obviously the financial statements. That was not in existence before, as well as inventory logic, a cap table if you're going to raise money. Again, you don't have to. You can always set this up and not raise money. It can be all the owner's equity. That's fine. You just zero out the relevant um, yellow cells. And then I guess lastly, I want to talk about the global control, even though this is the first thing here. So you will actually be able to enter the name of the company, the launch year, and then the end month of the template. So it doesn't have to go for 5 years. You could end it at any month. And then you could also define if you want to include a terminal value or not. And the way that will populate is the trailing 12-month revenue times whatever multiple you put in here if you select yes. You've also got a start month of operation, and this is to define, again, you might have a start year of 2022, but the start month of operations, buying units, or getting units manufactured and selling them and starting on subscriptions might happen at some point in the future. So you can define that here. You can also define if you're going to fund any of the startup costs with debt, and then taxes. Uh, Finally, we've got a reconciliation. So this checks all the different statements and details and makes sure they're all balancing. They should always all be 0 here. This is a really nice because if you change the model and you want to make sure you didn't break anything, just go to global control, check that these are all 0. You will be able to edit anything in light yellow. You will be able to edit and it'll flow all through to the rest of the template. I guess I could talk a little bit more about the unit cost. You can define on the product side of this different costs per unit, how many units you're going to produce per year, the shipping costs, how many units per load are uh, being shipped, and then some shipping costs will then populate. This this then flows unit sales. You can define the percentage of total units that you're producing that are actually sold each year, as well as the desired profit margin. That'll give you the selling price per unit. And then seasonality, you could define of the total sales per year, what percentage happened in each year. And subscriptions is pretty simple. You could define the start months that you're going to offer the subscription and the percentage of product sales that convert to monthly subscription. It'll have 3 pricing tiers. You could use 1, 2, or 3. Zero out anything you don't use. Average monthly churn of these subscribers, and the percentage of new signups that join in each tier accordingly. So that's all I got for you here. As you know, I'm updating all my templates to add at least a cap table and financial statements, and then I'll make upgrades accordingly if there's anything else that's needed. And this was Product as a Service. I'll see you guys on the next one.